Did you ever wish you could see beyond what your natural eyes can see? Like you had a superpower and you were able to get information from a realm that didn't exist right here in this natural plane? Well, there's good news. You have that ability. God divinely put that ability inside of each and every human that was created in his image. We have the ability to see what can't be seen. So when I'm talking about the ability to see beyond this natural plane, this natural realm that we live in, I'm not talking about being a prophet or having some supernatural gifting or capability, although that is something that is available to us. I'm just talking about the very gift of imagination that God has given to every human. Now, I know you might be saying, well, I don't have that gift. My imagination is broken. Or maybe you're saying, well, I have an imagination, but it's pretty messed up right now and it's full of things that I wish I had never seen or allowed to come into my thinking. Well, there's good news for that too, because there is cleansing for that and there is activation for those of you who feel that your imagination has went dormant. And we'll get into both of those today. But first of all, let's talk about, why do we need an imagination? Why would our wonderful Creator build us with imagination capacity? Well, let's read Ephesians chapter 1, verse 18. And it says, I pray that the light of God will illuminate the eyes of your imagination, flooding you with light until you experience the full revelation of the hope of his calling. That is the wealth of God's glorious inheritances that he finds in us, his holy ones. So God has put in us this imagination. And Paul is saying here that it's his prayer that the eyes of our imagination would be illuminated or enlightened, or activated or ignited, so that we can experience who Christ is and who he has made us to be. We need that capacity activated in order to fully embrace all that God has for us and all that God is on the inside of us. So you might be saying, well, I have an imagination, but it's pretty filthy right now. I've seen some things I shouldn't see, or maybe some things happen to you that you didn't ask for, and those things plague your mind. And when you close your eyes and start to use your imagination, unwanted images start to come up. Even traumatizing images might even be coming to your mind. Well, there's good news for that, because Jesus is the light of the world. And the Bible says that his light shines in the midst of darkness, and darkness is not able to overcome or comprehend or overtake that light. So what has happened to some of us, well, all of us to an extent, is that darkness has flooded our imagination. And so we get to a point where we say, you know what, I just don't even want to engage with that imagination anymore. And we shut it down and we don't use it. And like any other muscle, it goes dormant and it becomes hard to tap back into. But today, we're going to ask God to let his glory light shine and flood on the inside of us. We're going to submit and surrender all of those thoughts and all of the things, the imaginations that plague us and keep us from wanting to enter into that and allowing our imagination to be active. We're going to surrender those things to him. Now, obviously, you don't have to do that right now, but I just want to present that invitation to you. That's something that you might want to step aside and do when you have a moment. Just be still and be quiet, and you're not trying to work up on anything or get into any special place or have any special encounter or anything like that. You're simply just by faith presenting your imagination back to God. And here's a simple prayer that you could pray. Lord, forgive me for allowing my imagination to be clouded with things that are dark and things that are not helpful to me or helpful to you or your kingdom. Or even, Lord, you know these things have happened to me, and these imaginations, these memories are plaguing me. Even though I didn't do it myself, these things were done to me or in front of me, and now I'm having to deal with those thoughts and those imaginations. But Jesus, there is nothing too big or impossible to you. And by an act of my will, I'm surrendering these thoughts. I'm surrendering these imaginations to you. And I am declaring that you have more power in your glory light than these imaginations have in darkness over my mind. And I picture and I imagine your glory light shining in every recess of my memory and all that I am. And I see that light flooding and pushing out every bit of darkness and expelling it from me. That's a simple prayer that you could pray or use it as a starting point. And then just take a few minutes. Those thoughts will arise and they might even scare you, but don't be bullied out of igniting or activating your imagination just because those things are trying to press you and say, no, see, you can't do this. That is a lie. that's a lie. And if you stay in that place, don't fix your eyes on the darkness, fix your eyes on the light, fix your eyes on Jesus, and just keep your focus on him. Stay steadfast in that place and let him wash and see that light literally with your imagination as you're allowing it to be activated. See all that darkness pressing away under the power of his glorious light. And that might just be a beginning for you. And that might be an activation that you'll want to do daily until you sense that release and that you've been moved into a place where it's easy and free for you to move and allow your imagination to flow without being plagued with those thoughts. Now, I will say, if those things are so troubling to you, you may need help with that. You may need a trusted friend, or even a pastor or a counselor, or someone to walk with you, someone that you trust, that can sit with you in those times of quiet as you're allowing those things to process. And that's okay. Everybody starts at a different place, but don't let that extra help that you might need, don't let that keep you out of igniting this God-given gift of imagination. Now, on the other hand, we have people that might say, you know what, I would love to use my imagination, but I don't have one. Well, let me ask you this. What did you wear yesterday? What did you eat for dinner? What did you do on your last birthday? Well, I'm not patronizing you. I'm just allowing you to realize that your imagination is alive and well. So when I asked you, what did you wear yesterday? You probably didn't think words and see the words red shirt, blue pants. You probably had a picture of yourself, maybe looking in the mirror, wearing a red shirt, wearing blue pants. That is your imagination. When I asked you what you did for your birthday, you might have pictured yourself sitting down and eating a cake, or just sitting on the couch wrapped in a blanket watching all the Netflix shows that you could get in for that day. Whatever it was that you did for your birthday, you pictured it, you saw it with your imagination. So your imagination is there. It may just need to be worked and exercised. You know, I had the privilege of teaching second grade. And when I did, I used to take them through this exercise because we would use a number counting chart for a certain period of time, but eventually we would take that number chart and cover it up so that they would have to use their memory to memorize what that chart looked like. And I realized that if I told the students that they were going to have to use their memory, they would say, no, I can't do it. I can't picture it in my mind. So instead, I would kind of trick them. And we would do this fun activity, and I would call it burger builder. And so I would walk them through, and I won't take the time to do it now, but I would walk them through every step of being out on a Saturday and mom or dad getting those burgers ready and putting your favorite seasoning on them, and you can smell the charcoal and you can smell the sizzling, the cooking beef, the patties, all the way down to taking that first bite and, just really letting their imagination run wild over this hamburger. And so once I would introduce that activity to them, they all realized that they do have an imagination. And I would say, okay, now in that same way, we're going to picture our number chart in our imagination, which you have because you just got so hungry when you thought about eating that hamburger. So it's the same thing for us. When you practice, when you allow yourself to use your imagination in a wholesome and healthy way, it becomes stronger and stronger. And that visionary capacity that God gave us, not only to further and advance in life, because we know the power of visualization, but also to grow in Him, to experience more and more of who He is and the kingdom that we can't see with these eyes. There's so much more to this realm, to waking up, going to work, paying bills, and going to bed. There's so much more to life than that. But we have to take advantage of the invitation and the opportunity, and even that prayer that Paul prayed, that the eyes of our understanding, or the eyes of our heart, the eyes of our imagination would be illuminated and flooded with light so that we can move into all that God has and wants for us. So today I just wanted to encourage you. Number one, God gave us imagination and He wants us to use it. Number two, if you feel that your imagination is flooded and perverted and dirty, that's okay. Jesus is the cleanser and He is able to wash us and flood us with His glory light. So just do that little activity until you feel that release and that your mind is now free to be used for his kingdom and for the good of your own life and your own journey. And also, if you feel like you just don't have an imagination, well, you do. You just might need to practice it and exercise it a little bit more. And we're going to talk in future videos about how being able to use the eyes of our heart or the eyes of our imagination will bring us into more and more and more of who God is and what he has for us. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again next time. God bless you. Bye-bye.